Well, here we are back in the Manchester studio, and we have joining us once more for the How to Cut It podcast in collaborations with Wella Professionals UKI Digital Ambassador, James Earnshaw. Welcome along, James. And
thanks.
Commercial Education Manager, Wella Professionals UKI, Daisy Hewitt. Welcome back, Daisy.
Hi, thanks for having us again.
Yeah, well, it was good. We had a great time, didn't we, in our last podcast conversation where we spoke everything KP Pop. And today I'm excited because we're going to be talking about a bit of a new launch, aren't we, Daisy? The Blondorplex cream toner.
Yeah. So like I said, thanks so much for having us back.
You're very welcome.
Very, very different conversation this time round. We are so excited, and also James is, I'm sure, as well, to be launching the brand new Blondorplex cream toners. It's Wella's first kind of dedicated toning solution as well. So it's quite different from anything that we've had before. So yeah, we're very excited.
And I think this is really current now, isn't it, James, that blondes do seem to be taking over again.
Yeah, totally. I think for me, when I'm in the salon, I'm like, I need to do a blonde. It's where the money is at, I think. Definitely.
Right, Daisy, let's really get into this. Let's understand sort of, the demand for blondes by sharing with us some, popular blonde categories and service insights.
So it's always an interesting conversation when we talk about blondes because they are the biggest portion of salon business more often than not. So for most salon colour business and within colour specifically, you'll find that blondes will often equate to up to 45% of salon services. And what we mean within that is that, even if it's somebody that is lightening their hair to be slightly lighter, that would then be classed as one of those lightening services. So as James mentioned, it's big money. We also know that blondes tend to need more maintenance. So it's great for frequency, for, getting your clients back in the chair, especially in times where, lower maintenance services have been a thing for such a long time. So blondes are really great for that. But also we then know that blondes need the most maintenance at home. So all round for us as hairdressers, our blonde clients are definitely our best clients in terms of salon frequency, taking home care, and really being loyal to their hairdresser as well, because they know that once they get a good blonde, they're going to stick with that hairdresser.
And as we know, blondes, you just talking there about are probably, certainly here, UK and Ireland, are probably our most popular looks. And I would imagine, James, that you enjoy creating a good blonde yourself.
Of course, my favourite.
Do you have any blonde services that you particularly enjoy doing?
I've always loved doing a scalp lightener. Always like that perfect platinum blonde, even root to tip. Always my favourite.
And with toning, there are so many options that are out there, and it's difficult to know what to use when it comes to toning. What advice would you give here?
I think for me it's difficult because at Wella we have such a vast portfolio of shades and we can almost tone with anything. And I was talking to my friend from another brand the other day and he was like, oh, we can't really tone with that, or we can't. Whereas with us, we can make anything into a toner. But I think with Blondorplex cream toner, I think when I'm educating or when I'm traveling, or so many people are like, what is a toner in Wella? And you're like, well, you can use Colistin Perfect or Illumina with Pastel. You can use Coloured Touch, obviously Shinefinity, but this is a toner. So I think for me, it's like, okay, we finally have something where we're like, this is the toner, the toning range that we have. But I think for me, I think you need to look at your lift, and looking at your lift will tell you what toning product to use to get that end result.
Now, some colourists do not tone, Daisy. And I think for
Daisy doesn't tone, do you?
Excuse me.
Because they feel it will make their blonde look duller, maybe darker. Talk us through your thoughts on this and why that may be the case.
I think that, when we look at, what a toner actually is, we are really just complementing that lightness that we've already created in the hair. And actually, when I was in the salon for certain client types, I was taught not to tone, specifically on like highlights and things like that, where there was maybe natural hair in between. but actually maybe we just didn't have the right solution to pick up. Now, at Wella, we have, a vast portfolio of products that actually you can pick up to use as a toner. We have our KP and Illumina kind of permanent colours, whereas if you are looking to achieve that kind of saturated toner and also don't mind that little bit of shift for blending purposes, then they're going to be a great option. You've got Shinefinity. So if you're in a position where you absolutely cannot have any level of lift within that service that you are doing on the natural hair that might be in between those lightened areas, then Shinefinity is going to be the obvious option. If you have got a client that has maybe not had the most even lift, maybe there's been some previous colour that have got you to a point where it's a little bit uneven, then Colour Touch is going to be good because it's going to be great for balancing out porosity levels, but it's also going to be really good for saturation of pigment, for evening out that result. But what we don't have at Wella currently, or what we didn't have until now, was a dedicated toning option that kind of takes the complexity out of toning. We know that I think globally around 20% of hairdressers aren't toning. Now, I think in the UK, we are slightly better than that. There'll be people listening to this thinking, what? People don't tone? And that's either through lack of education or that thought process that maybe the hair is going to look a little bit darker. So what these toners are, and I'm definitely going to bring James in on this because you've been working with them for such a long time. But what these are is a dedicated toning solution. They are 4 core toning shades with then an ultra cool booster shade that can be added in. And what these are express toners. So you can literally, have 10 minutes to get that toner on and developed. And this is what you would reach for. Now, what you'll find is that they are not overly tonal. So they're not creative toners. You would still reach for other things in that scenario. They're very neutralized blondes. So they're great for the everyday client, but also great if you as a hairdresser are maybe a little bit nervous about the hair starting to look a bit darker, or if that's what the client is conscious about. Now, James, you have literally been working with these toners for longer than me because you were there right at the very beginning when these were being created in R&D. So feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I think for me, I've had a great time with them because I got given them the same time as Shinefinity. So in 2020, I got given both of them. And I think it was we weren't even sure if we were launching them at this point, and they just gave me the toner. And I remember I got given one shade and I was like, wow. And they said, just mix it like this and it's a high speed thing. And I was like, okay, put it on. And it was super quick, which I think for me is the number one important thing. I think for me, where Wella, what we didn't have before this was something quick and easy to develop. And I think, for me, if I'm in the salon, like I always say, I'm there to make money. So time is money. So something that takes quick is amazing. But why I love these toners so much is just because the tonalities are so beautiful and the shine is great, but you don't have to mix it with a different developer. So you were using a developer 1.9% pastel, which we've always used. So it's just an easy, quick way of toning when you need either an icy blonde, a violety blonde, a kind of beigey blonde, or a golden blonde. You just reach for your shade you want, you put it on the hair, you leave it for like 3 to 5 minutes, seriously. You rinse it off and you are done. And honestly, the shine is very different to Shinefinity. It's a very like artificial shine in a way, like that kind of shine that clients really kind of look
metallic-y
for. Like a really metallic finish. And if anyone listening loves toning with Illumina, then you will love these because they're quite similar, in my opinion, in the finish. And for me, what I love is originally when they were doing the shade palette, I did a whole 2-hour focus group on it, and they actually listened to me. Which is nice. And one of the shades was taken out and replaced with a shade that I think. So that was really, really nice because one of the shades I was like, I don't think that's...
What shade that we've got now was the one that you wanted?
Stroke 36. Ah. Yeah, it was going to be stroke 03.
Oh, yeah. Good work.
Just because it was very, very golden. And I think for me, if you're using a toner on a level 8, 9 or 10, it's already going to have gold in there. So you don't need any more.
Yeah.
And especially with Shinefinity, I would love an 03 because it's a soft glaze over the lift. But for these are for neutralization. Yeah. So to me, 3.6 is amazing because we're seeing a huge revival in golden hair because it kind of looks lighter and brighter than cooler hair tones. So 3.6 is kind of the shade that I was like, come on, let's do a 3.6. And they listened to me. So yeah.
No, that's perfect. A Blondorplex cream toner, there's a lot of excitement around this. And what would you say to our audience, Daisy, why they should be feeling this excitement based on what you're sharing with us here?
So a couple of reasons. Now, for many of you listening, you might have seen that in North America, they had a dedicated toning solution that was called Blondor Toner. And we could see that there was energy behind this. People saw it, wanted to use it. And it seemed like that simplicity was what people were really looking for. The great thing about the Blondorplex cream toners that we will have in the UK is that not only do they have that 5-minute development time, so they just bring that speed in to toning, because the thing is sometimes we need to spend time, a little bit more time on a toner.
Yeah, because in my
it's not
mind,
one size,
I always used to think 15, 20 minutes on a toner.
It's not.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
But that's important as well, isn't it? Again, because I know when we spoke some time back in our previous podcast about the commercial bit side of the industry, that 5 minutes really matters.
Yeah. And I think it's knowing when to choose a 5-minute toning service versus when to get your bowl and brush out and apply to the different areas and maybe be a bit more creative, because, you know, we've talked about this a lot before, James, but you know, there'll be certain times where the Blondorplex cream toners, due to their speed, the speed of the application, the development time, are going to be the perfect option. But there are also going to be times where you would still use something else, or maybe you would apply with a bowl and brush rather than an applicator flask, purely because not every client is the same. The other really exciting thing is that they contain Plex, so they have that Wella Plex system built in. So not only are we getting this speed result, but we are also doing that Plex service. And I think that a lot of the comments that we see, and that's not just within Wella, but this is just within the industry, is that a lot of the time we use the bond builder, maybe in the areas like the root area when we're topping up our clients. And that means that we're not doing that within the hair that's already been pre-lightened previously, which then kind of begs the question, you know, where on what hair needs the most kind of TLC. And these toners, they're great, but they leave the hair feeling incredible as well.
So it's a technology in that product, the Plex, that leaves that healthy condition to the Blondorplex.
I think for me as well, I think it feels very different, like in the fragrance and the consistency. And for me, I don't think in 2023 that a toner should necessarily like smell bad or feel bad on the head. It shouldn't be irritating. You know, when you do a scalp bleach, I do a lot of them, you don't want them to be like, oh, it's tingling or burning, because I don't think it should anymore. I think we have the technology for it to not. And as someone who, apart from at the moment, always is bleach blonde, I know how it feels to have toners on. And the first thing I did when I tested them 3 years ago was to make sure that they are comfortable on the scalp, and they definitely are. So for me, if you're offering that premium blonde service in the salon, you can't be offering that and then also burning their head. So it's little things like that. And the fragrance, it doesn't smell like a toner, it smells like a treatment. I think that the fragrance is really beautiful, so it feels very modern in its approach. And again, I think the palette just being 4 shades makes it really easy, because you're like, this one to neutralize yellow, this one to neutralize orange, this one if you want it a little bit warmer, this one if you want a little bit more beige. Easy.
Yeah, I love it. I love that you've got the whole, everything around this that makes a great toner. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit deeper about the shade lineup, Daisy.
Of course. So, I mean, James pretty much summed it up so well there, but we have a stroke 1.6. So this is like a pearl result. And this one in particular, I think we'll see being quite popular for those super clean blondes. We have a stroke 8.1, which gives us our most silvery result. Now, we have done a shoot, and we'll talk a bit more about this in a second, but we are so in love with these images, and the silver image in particular, I think people are going to love. We then have the stroke 3.6, which is what James was referencing to earlier. This is perfect for like that slightly warmer, creamier feel. And then we have stroke 9.6, which is really there for, it's almost got a minkiness to it, stroke 9.6, hasn't it? Yeah.
I think this is so great, because sometimes when we launch things, there's so many, whereas I actually love them all equally for their uses. Whereas, you know, if something comes out where there's like 20 shades, you're like, oh, I'm a bit scared of 5 of them, and I don't really like
You're
5.
almost overloaded, aren't you?
Yeah, whereas there's definitely a need for all of them. And also you can intermix as well.
Yeah.
And we do have the Ultra Cool Booster, which is a great option for when you just can't get that lift. And I'm always say, as an example, you know, when you've got that Asian hair that's a level 2 or 3, she's got box dye on the ends, and you lift it and you just can't get it past orange. By intermixing your booster into, say, Stroke 8-1, in 5 minutes you've literally zapped out all of that warmth, and it's just a great option for like, oh, I just can't get rid of this warmth, whereas you can now with this. And they have the kind of power in them to push through and neutralize the warmth, whereas Shinefinity, my other favorite kind of tone and glaze solution, is more of like in the ideal situation when you've got that beautiful lift and it's perfect and you just want to kind of add a hue over the top. That's when I would use Shinefinity. But these are great when you've got like a problem, like you need to push through the warmth or you need to really neutralize something. So that's like my 2 kind of favorites, and that's when I use my Blondor.
The Ultra Cool Booster is a Stroke 8-6, so it's super powerful because it's a pearl, which is blue, in combination with a violet. So yeah, if you need that full neutralization.
Don't use it on its own though, guys, because when I tested it, I was like, I'm just going to put it all over the hair on my own on its own because I'm really cool. But remember, it is a booster shade. It is not a shade to be used on its own.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, again, for our audience that are watching the video, they can gonna look at this collection now that you've worked on, James.
Yes.
So, but if you're listening podcast, highly recommend go and check out the film to this. You'll be able to see the images, because I want to talk about each shade in relation to the shoot that you worked on.
Yeah.
Let's just go a bit deeper with that. So let's kick off. Grace.
Yes. So with this collection as a whole, you guys know I've done quite a lot for Wella over the last couple of years, and a lot of it has been very creative, which has been really, really fun, especially with the Colliston shoot. But for this one, when I first got asked to do it, they were like, what do you want to do? Da, 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 da. And I was like, do you know what? I would just love to do something where you look at it and you're like, oh, it's just so beautiful. And it's not crazy. It's not super edgy. The girls just look like gorgeous. And I think it was so fun to do. And I think I just love the pictures so much because every girl just looks hot.
Honestly, honestly, like, you know, KP Pop, we talked about that the previous time he was with you. That was fun. That was cool. It was very much for the hairdresser. These looks, hopefully you hairdressers love them, because we certainly do. But these looks are definitely relatable to what the core salon business is in blondes at the moment. Like, these are the looks that we find that clients are going into salons asking for. And that, I think that's what the beauty of the collection really is, because
this isn't just hairdressers collections. This is collections.
Exactly.
And also the thing is as well, I think it's not boring. Like, for example, I could probably look at these pictures in 5 years and still like them. Whereas when you push it further, like with KP, you know, the more on trend you go, the more it dates, whereas these are quite timeless. So it's really fun to me because I shot them pretty much like a month apart. So I was literally like one extreme to the other.
Yeah, I want to reference them because I say viewers that are watching them in the film. So we've got Grace, Emily. So for our podcast listeners, what's this look like?
Yes, so Emily is actually a model I've worked with for quite a long time, and she's had natural hair. She's never coloured her hair before. And in 2020, when I cut her hair, I was like, I want to use you for this blonde shoot. I don't know when. I don't know when it's going to happen or if or whatever. And then finally, when we got the go ahead in 2022, I was like, the time is here. And I was like, she just needs to look like J-Lo. She just needs to look like J-Lo. And I always say, if you say to any girl around the world, if you're trying to convince them to have something, just be like, it'll look like J-Lo. No one's ever going to say no to that, you know? No one's ever going to, no, I don't want to look like her, actually. So yeah, that one was like the more warmest that we had in the shade. And that one is probably my favorite because it's the most commercial, but in a beautiful premium way. Yeah.
Okay, so that's sort of your inspiration and look behind that. So what would you add on to that with Emily?
So I think Emily is, I mean, as James mentioned, she's the J-Lo moment, so who doesn't want to look like that? But she's also like the transformative balayage, which, although balayage has been around for a long time, it's definitely a very staple salon menu service. And I think the technique that James does is like so easy to replicate, isn't it? You know, it's actually quite a speedy technique, given that she was the depth of a 4 in the morning, and by the afternoon she was blonde. So yeah, she is a real transformative balayage moment. Within the collection, you'll see it split down the middle, so that we've got 2 models that are full head lightening services, and these are our ultra blonde models. And then you'll see 2 models that are kind of partial colour, and they are our ultra lights. So we split it down the middle on ultra lights and ultra blonde. So Emily is part of that ultra lights collection.
Yeah, and what about Jemima?
Yes, so Jemima, again, using with one of my favourite shades, the Stroke 96, and we worked with like a modern highlighting technique here, because I definitely think that highlighting and colour being closer to the root is making a return, so that's great. So working with a kind of modern lightening technique with highlights, and then toning with Stroke 96. And I love how this is kind of more stronger throughout the front to kind of more diffuse through the back, and then again, it was just super quick and easy to do with the toning.
Yeah, and I think from a service point of view, you pretty much said it, James, like modern highlights is really the way that we would describe it. She sits in that ultra lights part of the collection. And what we wanted to do from a technique point of view is give a slightly speedier way to create something like this, because it's great that our clients are going back to highlights a little bit more, because it's increasing that frequency back into the salon. But we wanted to give like an inspirational way of creating that like real blonde highlight effect. So she's almost like the blonde bombshell, but without having to have that scalp bleach. And I think it works really well.
Yeah, I think for me as well, when you look at the image of that, it really is the Stroke 96. So it's slightly kind of rosy, but in a really, really commercial way.
Yeah, she's so pretty.
Lizzie.
Yeah, so I'm going to apologize already, guys, because this image of Lizzie is going to be in your salon, and clients of a level 2 are going to be looking at it and being like, I want this. And I know that they will, because it is that blonde image that you look at and you're like, I want this hair, because it is thick root to tip, it's healthy, it's glossy. Lizzie herself has such amazing hair. And again, the Stroke 8 one was the perfect choice for her. And I just love it. I know it's that hero image that everyone's going to love.
Yeah.
And I know that clients are going to want it whether they can or not, definitely. Yeah. But that one was the scalp lightener technique, and it showed that perfect combination of Blondorplex and Blondorplex cream toner together to create that beautiful icy blonde in just 5 minutes. 5 minutes of toning. The lightening took a bit longer.
Yeah. And with Lizzie, she actually sits she's under the ultra blonde category, so she's a full head lightening application, but she is, like James said, she's the one that everybody wants. But what I will say is the toning service that we did created that silver. And that's the great thing about the Blondorplex cream toners, is that they keep things nice and bright. So often you might try to do a silver and it starts to feel a bit dark, so you're not really getting that blonde effect. But it really just, it did it so fast for us. And we was like literally like, do we not need to do anything next? Do we not need to like do another toner or something? Yeah, like it was just so easy, wasn't it? So even though, like James said, it might be that image that people bring in that they want, and maybe you're a bit nervous about it, but this toner really does do what it says on the tin. So as long as you get that perfect lift and lightened result, then you should be good to go with that toner. But yeah, she is just beautiful.
I think a Stroke 8 one's going to be a good one, because you can use it to neutralize a 7, an 8, a 9, a 10, And with Grace, again, we wanted to add something shorter into there because, the collection's more longer. We wanted to work with a really nice, super short crop. We lightened with my personal favorite lightener, which is Soft Blonde Cream, which is the perfect scalp lightener. Then we went in and literally with the bottle, I think it was on for like 3-4 minutes, the Stroke 16, done.
Yeah. So easy. She's going to be our speed toning technique. I will say she had very short hair, so it was very easy to call her the speed toning technique.
But then sometimes, you know what, actually, when the hair is kind of an inch long, it can be quite difficult because you want to put it on, make it even. You want to go through with a fine-tooth comb and really section it off to make it even. So actually, it can be quite difficult because it's not like she had a total shaved head where you just throw it on.
Yeah.
She actually had enough hair where we did have to kind of go through and section it. So actually it's a great one to see. And again, stroke 1-6 is going to be another really popular
And I think what's really key, what comes over here, I think everyone that's listening to this or watching this will know that one client, won't they? That you tick a box within one of them 4 looks of those blonde toning
and
looks.
that's what we want to do with the service menu as well. So, you know, if you are listening to this and you're thinking, how can I talk to my clients about this? We have a service menu that you can download and use in salon, and we have some education tools and hints and tips on how you can talk to your clients about it. And even if it's not, you know, as a one-step process, maybe it's a journey for that client. You know, we have these tools available for you to use. Before we come to
the latter, I wouldn't mind just getting some application and tip ideas and recommendations to that. But when should we be using Blondorplex? Is there that right moment for that right client?
I think for me, I mean, Daisy will tell you the answers to this, but for me, everyone knows what Plex is now, so it's actually really easy. So for lightener, it's amazing because everyone's like, I want to have Plex in my lightener. But now you can be like, we also have Plex in the toner, and everyone will agree to it because everyone's educated on it. They know what it is. So it's a super easy kind of introduction.
Yeah, I think, you know, we have Blondorplex. We also have soft blonde cream, as James mentioned. We then have the Blondorplex cream toners, where you've got the ability to have that built into a very speedy toner. I think the answer when it's lightening is that most clients should be having some kind of Plex service during a lightening service, because often it's preventative. The one conversation we have with a lot of people is that if that hair is past the point, you know, if it's already gone, then we
all know those ones.
Yeah, it's not something that you can then go, oh, well, I'm still going to lighten it, but I'm going to use something with Plex in there because, you know, that's going to fix all of my problems. So it's just having that understanding and respect for the hair as well to know what the limit is. But I think, most lightening services really now, and like James said, our clients know about it. So it makes it easier.
I think for the Blondorplex toner, I think you use it when you want speed, when you want reliability, when you want to be quick and easy. As a pre-toner for, say, a pastel shade, I love to use it for that. But also, say, if you're doing highlights, you want to kind of, they don't lift, but if you want to kind of help just blend together really beautifully, then definitely.
I think what's great about it, it really has its own place here, doesn't it, in the lightening, toning portfolio of what Wella Professionals offer.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely the simplest option is what I would say. You know, if you are on a busy day, it's a regular client, you just need that level of neutralization. You know, there's nothing particularly complex about what you are doing. Blondorplex cream toner is going to be a great option.
Yeah.
You know, even in times, you know, the neutralization power is really strong. So, you know, if you've got an even result but requires a lot of neutralization, then it's going to be great again. But you know, you have this application method of using your bottle. It's the speediest way to do it. But you know, if you do need to apply to one area first, then you can use a bowl and brush as well. So you know, you do have that opportunity as well.
Yeah. And what about you, James, when it comes to application tips and tricks for our audience? What would you say when applying this?
So I think it's just, for me, for scalp bleaches, for example, especially on Lizzie, I actually applied to the mid-lengths and ends first and then went in and did the root. And what that does is just stop the toner looking heavy on the root where it's freshly lightened. So I would say for me, just tone the hair where you need to first. You mix the toner 1 to 2, but you could say mix it 1 to 3 if you want to take a little bit longer in your application. That's just kind of my suggestion. You'll still get the end result, but it will just give you a bit more time if you've got loads of hair or anything like that.
Great. Something that I'm thinking about here, Daisy, as well, that people may be thinking, look, 5 minutes. That's not a lot of time. You've got to get this on. It can take somebody 5 minutes.
It's too long.
You know, I mean, what's your reply to that?
So when I got these, probably after James, about a year and a half ago to test. And I used my friend as a model. She has short hair, got it on, great result, happy with it. And then about a year later, we did our Train the Trainer, where our global counterparts basically give us all the information. We get models in and we try them out. So I thought, right, I'm going to get somebody that has got loads of hair. So it was a highlight client that I've done quite a few times before. She has a kind of decent amount of hair. And I thought, right, how can I get this on as quickly as possible? So what I did was I sectioned into quadrants, used my bottle applicator, and the only thing I did was leave out that front piece where we've got like a stronger face frame. And I applied quadrant by quadrant, but I didn't go through section by section on those quadrants. I just whizzed it through. Now, James, you can talk about this probably a bit more flexibly than I can, but I literally, for want of a better word, got the product on. Now, my background has always been precision application, and to be honest, that is usually the message. Within reason, I would suggest that you apply to bigger sections and really, have the use of your hands to work the product through. We do have some material online where you can see the technique that we use. There's also the step-by-step videos that we've created that you can have a look at. You can get it on in the 5 minutes. So it's not a product that you are needing to do a precision application with. But just be mindful, if you are that person that has been fine-tuned to think precision application, then you might have to be a bit more flexible with that.
Sometimes we get our maybe younger members of our team as well involved, certainly with tonal services. Is this something that they can, certainly do and, apply?
Yeah, I think it's super easy. And I think for me, what I like to do is maybe leave out the hairline on my highlights, tone the back first, and then go in and just apply the root for 1 or 2 minutes at the front. So you can actually be really clever with your application and kind of make it look like you've done more than you have, because it's so easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds incredible for what is being offered.
Yeah.
You must be very excited about this, Daisy, at Wella Professionals, and pioneering technology again, isn't it?
Yeah, we are super excited because it's just something a little bit new. It's not something that we've already got. It's not a new version of something that we already have here. It is something new. And what I would say is that they are fairly safe shades as well. So it's not like when sometimes, they're super tonal or you've got to keep your eye on it. They're fairly safe. Just as James mentioned, the booster is the more intensive shade. So that's the only one where if you're going to use a lot of it, then you can expect quite a lot of intensive tonality.
Like toners should not be challenging anymore.
Yeah.
It sounds to me that we're in a really good place with this in recommending this to our clients as well. Is there any ideas, tips that you would give on that, James, in how we put this over and what we're going to be giving them with these Blondorplex?
I think it's just about speed, so they'll be in the salon for less time. Also as well about the hair breakage, because obviously the Plex, I think it's a percentage which I can't remember.
Blondorplex cream toners are 90% less breakage. So
there you go. Sold, guys. 90% less breakage. And I think the images, you look at them and I'm sold.
Honestly, we're so happy with the images, aren't we? I think.
So, and this is
beautiful.
Available now.
Yeah.
For people to get hold of.
Yeah. So they launch officially in May. So we should see them very soon. You will see a lot of teasing from us. There is going to be a lot available on education.wella.com where you'll be able to kind of understand the product story and the technical information, also see the journey of the shoot that we did, all of the techniques that we recommend. You'll be able to see the service menu as well. Something that we've created as well is what we call the blonde life cycle. Now, earlier on, I mentioned that we've split the 4 models into 2 categories. The ultra blonde category, which is a full head lightening service, and then the ultra lights category, which is the partial applications, which is the highlights and the balayage. And what we've tried to do for each of those categories is give some pointers on how you can break down your lightening services, because we know that salon frequency for our clients with blondes is generally pretty good anyway. However, if you are finding that maybe your clients aren't in the salon as much as you would like them to be. There's quite a clever way that you can kind of break it down into different services. So that for us is something that we are really trying to get across to our hairdressers, is that, you know, it might be that you do on that first appointment that full application of what James did on the shoot, but then the next time that client comes in, rather than her waiting that full, I don't know, however long she usually takes, 8 weeks, 12 weeks to come back in, she comes back in for a toning service and a treatment in between. Then the next time she comes back in, maybe she doesn't have the full lightening service. Maybe she just has a small area. Maybe it's a face frame, however you want to work with it. But it's really about, if we look at the life cycle of the blonde client, so the ultra blonde, which is that kind of full head lightening service, that's a cycle of about 4 months. So it's increasing from 2 visits in that 4 months to 4 visits in that 4 months. Because every time the client comes in, it's an opportunity from a business perspective. With your ultra lights, we know that the partial applications are a bit more low maintenance. So over a 6-month period, again, it's increasing, rather than having 2 visits in 6 months, to increasing it to that 4 visits and being able to offer more services and more opportunities. So that is one of the strongest messages from this kind of whole campaign. And that's the thing, you know, sometimes as hairdressers, we forget that, you know, we're actually going to work, not just to chat and make people happy.
And this is what I love about this conversation, learning obviously about a wonderful toner from Wella Professionals.
Yeah.
But actually hearing that creative aspect and what you've brought to the game with your collections, and then hearing here from Daisy on a business point of view, listening to that, why you're not going to get onto this and bring this into your business is a no-brainer. So look, great conversation. Leave us with our final thought of the podcast.
Yeah, so you guys are going to love it. Can't wait for it to come out and you guys to try the product. Again, 5 minutes, super quick, super easy. You're going to love it.
Thank you, James. Daisy.
I just hope it makes people's lives a little bit easier. And for those of you out there that maybe don't do too many toning services or shy away from toning, I hope you pick these up because they are super simple.
Yeah. Or if you're obsessed with Wella like I am and know that they're in America and you're very jealous, you don't need to be jealous anymore because ours are better than the American ones. So
fabulous. And again, look, getting hold of all these products, we'll put the links into the show notes.
Yeah.
And they may come up in the film as well for you all. So thank you so much. Again, as last time, I had a great time in your company. I have again today, just learning about Blondorplex.
Thanks so much for having us. We love
yes,
this, don't we?
Yes. See you next year.
See you next year. Can't wait.